All right, welcome back to another episode of I Hate Fantasy Football. I'm still hating it with my 3 and whatever record. For Crazy MFJR, I am the captain. We're going to go ahead and take a look back at week 12. What a pretty interesting week it was.
Yep.
A lot of stuff got sorted out and a lot of stuff got more confusing all at the same time.
Yep.
We'll take a look back at week 12. We're going to look ahead at the current standings, matchups coming up, and then answer a couple of questions this week.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, so let's take a look back at week 12. We'll start with that.
Sure.
I thought I was in the driver's seat after the Thanksgiving games. It looked pretty good. And then I got crushed. Kyle decided to have 3 non-quarterbacks score over 20, so that was awesome.
He woke up.
Yeah, good times. So, yeah, I still hate fantasy football, even here after week 12. So, Josh, what'd you say?
A couple things that come to mind. The closest matchup this week was decided by 18.4 points. We didn't really have any nail biters. Basically, everything was kind of a blowout. Now, maybe it got to be a blowout later in the game or whatever it happened. But yeah, the closest game was only 18 points, and that was Gus and Kevin. One of the other things that stood out to me as I was looking back at it is Jeff's 4-8.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Jeff was 4-2?
That was a long time ago.
I'm sorry, Jeff, but you've lost 6 straight games, and that's it's pretty brutal. That's hard to deal with. So, and then I think
and Kevin's gotten quite a few losses in a row.
Yeah, because what was he 5-0 or 6-0 or something at one point, and now he's
it's been a rough go for those two.
Yeah, it's that's the way it goes sometimes. You got to stay on top of it. But
I bet they hate fantasy football.
They probably hate fantasy football too. Yeah, and I think one of the things that you noticed too was that all the teams with better records won, except for Kevin. But all the people that should have won. So those are the things that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah, all the chalk.
Yeah,
week. All the chalk.
Yep, definitely.
Hey, you didn't mention? Did you like my new shirt?
Your new shirt is super awesome.
Yeah.
It's custom.
Custom made?
Yeah, I don't think anybody else has one of those.
Not one person.
Limited edition.
Maybe some 12-year-old somewhere.
Nice.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our current standings for the week. Once again, I said earlier that things got more clear, and then a lot of stuff got muddled a little bit more.
Yep, sure did.
Over in that other division, man.
Yeah.
Woo! Everybody's the same.
They're equal.
Yeah, they sure are. Equal. It's a good word.
So I'm 10-2, leading the way. But then, like we're talking about, Gus, Jordan, Lisa, and Kevin are all 7-5. One more week to go here. Keitel is 6-6. Tom, vast improvement over last year, 5-7. Jeff and Ryan, both 4-8. And then my co-host here is 3-9.
Yeah, somebody's gonna do it. Might as well be me.
So, yeah. Well, I guess.
All right, but we have a lot of really important matchups coming up. We'll get into the playoff scenarios in the next episode, but going forward, we've got 4 very interesting matchups.
I think they're all interesting.
I don't know. Me and Ryan don't really have much. We're terrible.
You are terrible, that's true. But if you beat Ryan this week and Jeff loses, you actually will still have an opportunity to play for the consolation championship. So, there's something there.
I can get my IC title back.
Yeah, you can go for that. But I play Keitel this week, so that's important because he's still trying to make the playoffs, and I'm trying to have an awesome record.
It's a must win for Keitel this week.
He has to, yeah. And then Kevin plays Jeff, and Jeff's on a bit of a slide, but so's Kevin. That's a must win for Kevin. Like I said, you and Ryan play. Jordan and Lisa play, and that's a must-win for both of them. And,
yeah, that's probably going to be the most interesting match.
Probably. And then Gus plays Tom.
Oh, that might actually be more interesting. Tom could be the upset.
Yeah, well, because Lisa's got to be rooting for Tom to win.
Oh, wouldn't Lisa love that? Tom might get his trade back.
Or he's going to get his more out of the deal.
Yes. All right.
Pretty good.
All right, let's go ahead and move forward. Jordan, you've got another set of rankings for us this week. Take it away.
Guys, we have 1 week to go in the regular season, so let's get right into these power rankings. Now, it's no surprise, again, Josh is ready and in a prime spot for the playoffs. Andrew Luck looks to be back for week 13. Now, despite losing A.J. Green, Josh still is the team to beat. Now, this week, he's favored in a matchup against Keitel, which he probably should win, and that'll keep him in with only 2 losses on the season. So very impressive by Josh. All right, number 2, the champ. Now, Gus picked up a well-deserved win over Kevin this week, and he looks to be, again, in a prime spot heading into the playoffs. Now, this week, Gus is facing Tom, which probably he will win. And if he gets this win, he will be the number 2 seed going into the playoffs when we start next week. All right, number 3. I actually have 2 number 3s this week, and we actually play each other. So Lisa and I are playing each other with a guaranteed spot in the playoffs on the line. So I got a big win against Ryan last week. Jordan Reed came up huge. Tom Brady played well. A lot of good things happened for me, and I need that to happen again. Now, Lisa, she's got Big Ben, Antonio Brown. They have played very well. They helped her get her second win over Tom this season, and that's impressive. Now, if you look at Tom, though, and Lisa's matchups, you have to go back to week 5 of 2014 to find the last time that Tom beat Lisa. Now, so this week, obviously, big matchup for me, big matchup for Lisa. Playoff stakes on the line. We'll see what happens between my 2 number 3 teams. All right, number 5. Now, it might be too little, too late for Keitel this week. Now, not only does he face Josh, but he also needs a couple teams to lose, Kevin or Gus. Now, Keitel is now the 2nd most points in the league, and if he does not make the playoffs, he's probably in that coveted kind of prime spot for that Intercontinental Championship and for that opportunity to pick his draft position when it happens next year. Now, hopefully, he will be there. All right, number 6. Kevin. My, how the mighty have fallen. At one time, you were the league leader. You were far and above ahead of everyone, and now there's a chance that you might miss the playoffs. Kevin, you're going to be without DeMarco Murray this week, who's on a bye, and you better hope that Carson Palmer and Larry Fitzgerald get it done. All right, let's go to 7. Jeff has a 6-game losing streak. Now, you would think that he'd be lower than 7th, and you may be right, but another loss this next week will put him in a prime spot to play for the Toilet Bowl. Now, Drew Brees and Des Bryant have been playing very well since joining his team via trade a few weeks ago, but Jeff needs them to repeat that performance this week, and if he can win, he will probably be 7th place going into the rankings. All right, 8. Tom's team is currently 5 times better than it was at this time last year. Now, despite being on his first 3-game win streak, he lost to Lisa, and so he got back to his losing ways. Tom put up a valiant effort in Week 12, but I'm really hoping, Tom, that you can beat Gus in Week 13. All right, now finally we have another tie. We have 2 10th-place teams. Darren, you're only 7 games back in your division. The bad news is that you only have 1 game left. It's a good thing you have all of those picks. Now, this week you match up against your co-10th-place team, Ryan, and the loser will definitely be in last place going into the playoffs. Finally, Ryan, you've made it public knowledge that you've already been looking forward to next season. You made a lot of drafts or drops and pickups this week, so making a few changes, really looking to get yourself ready for the playoffs. But a win in Week 13, Ryan, could give you a chance to play for the 5th place game. You could either be in last place, or you could move up all the way to play in the Intercontinental Championship Bowl. So with 1 week left, there's very little certainties. Guys, that's the rankings. Good luck to everybody, except for Gus and Tom. I hope both of you guys lose, and we will see you next week.
All right, Jordan, thank you for that. That was
Thanks,
a
bud.
great job with those rankings. Once again, you've been doing a superb job all season
Really
long.
appreciate it. It's
I don't
awesome.
like where I'm at, but that's okay.
I like where I'm at.
Yeah, of course you do. All right, let's move on to our email of the week. Our email of the week comes in the form of a text message from Jeffrey. Jeffrey asks, what was the most bench points scored in a given week?
So I went and looked at this season. ESPN doesn't allow me to go back and look at bench points scored for previous seasons. At least I couldn't figure out how to do it. So I was only able to look at this year, which quite frankly was enough work. So I went and looked at what everybody's highest bench points score was. Ryan actually led the way. He had the highest overall bench score. His high for bench scoring was 64.2 points, and that was in week 11. Now, part of that was because he had 2 quarterbacks on his bench, and he lost.
Isn't that sometimes some of the weeks? Isn't that more than Tom scored?
Yeah, I think Tom has scored less than 64 on a couple of different occasions. Second, Lisa had her most bench points scored was 58.6 in week 4. She won that matchup, so not a big deal. Kevin's was third. His most points scored on the bench was 56.8 in week 3. Only one quarterback there. I'm fourth. The most points that I had on a bench was 55.6. That was in week 10. I had one quarterback on my bench, but it was Andrew Luck. He was on a bye, didn't score anything. So I had four players on my bench that scored 55 points. I still won. That's okay.
I think I played you that week.
Yeah,
Whenever
yeah.
you went off.
Yeah, I did. Kyle comes up next. He also had 55.6 points on his bench in week 4 with one quarterback. He won that matchup. You had 51.5 points on your bench in week 8 with no quarterbacks. That's pretty impressive, and you won. Not bad.
One of my 3.
Gus had 45.2 points on his bench in week 16 with 0 quarterbacks. He won that matchup. Jeff, who this question originated from, had 38.9 points on his bench this last week, and he had no quarterbacks.
So he was like the 8th highest. He was like bummed about his bench.
Right. This is
not even close.
The high bench total for him was 38.9 this week, and he lost by 51.4. So it really wouldn't have made any difference anyway. But Jordan came in next. He had 36.6 points in week 8 with no quarterbacks. He lost that matchup. If he had played a perfect lineup, he actually would have won by 12.1 points. So that one actually did really hurt him. And then last place in points scored in any particular department, this one happens to be bench scoring, is Tom. Tom scored 33.1 points on his bench in week 9 with one quarterback, but he won that matchup.
So it's not like he's starting the wrong guys.
No, he just doesn't have any guys. And what also I found interesting about this is only what our individual teams' most points scored. Keitel, for example, has multiple weeks of 50 points scored on his bench. So more than Jeff or Gus has had the whole season, he's done multiple times. So the other thing that I found interesting was even with these being our high scores on the bench, it only resulted in 3 losses.
Just 3.
Yeah, 7 wins with having a lot of points on the bench. I don't know what that necessarily means, but I just found it to be interesting that even though you guys screwed up your lineup, you still won. I mean,
Your whole team went off.
Yep. So everybody. So maybe you didn't make a poor decision. You just had a lot of points on the bench. I found it pretty interesting. I hope you guys do too.
For Crazy MFJR, I am the captain, and we'll see you next time.